What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are gonna be checking out a wonderful video. It's about one of NASCAR's greatest legends. This video here is titled The Greatest Saga in NASCAR, Dale versus Daytona. Let's go check it out. Hey.
The most common joke about NASCAR racing is that the only thing that happens is a bunch of dudes go fast and turn left. And that is mostly true. I mean, we do turn right 5 or so times a year on our road courses and street courses, but that's 1 out of every 7 races NASCAR runs in a given year. So yeah, we mostly turn left over and over and over. But it's about how you turn left that's most important. There's the big 1.5 mile intermediate tracks that make up the bulk of the schedule, where you're fast as a bullet and have to be perfect on your braking points and equally as perfect on where you decide to pick the gas back up. And if you screw up even just a little bit, it completely destroys your momentum on the straightaways. There's the big irregular tracks like Pocono and Indianapolis, the triangle and the rectangle respectively, where perfect.
Jesus Christ, how many wide is this? Usually you see 3 wide, 4 wide, but I think there's like 7 wide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Man, I called it. There's literally 7 of them, almost side by side. This guy was like, nope, I don't want nothing to do with you lot. I'm getting the hell out of here, man.
Driving matters just as much as managing your equipment on such challenging tracks. And of course, we have to mention the short tracks, measuring about 1/2 mile in length. Here it's all about getting up on the wheel and manhandling your car. Forget perfection and finesse, this is a contact sport. If you make a mistake, don't worry, you can correct it in just a few seconds down in the next series of turns. The varied ovals in NASCAR come with their detractors though. Some drivers just hate particular tracks for one reason or another. Kyle Petty had this to say about Darlington, one of the oddest ovals on the schedule.
And I hate this place, and I'll go on record and say, and I went it during the Busch race yesterday. I said I hate Darlington, hate Bristol too. That's coming up next week. I've said it before. I think they ought to fill this place up with water to the outside retaining wall, dump bass in it, and have pro bass tournaments in here, and sell seats in them grandstands right there, and let people just watch them fish all day long. Be fine with me. But I'll tell you this: as bad as this place is, you could stock this thing with 1 million fish when nobody catch one.
I didn't understand most of what he said. That accent was completely crazy for me. But he didn't really say why he didn't like it though. He just said, if you let me listen again.
As bad as this place is, you could stock this thing with 1 million fish when nobody.
You can stock this place with a what?
Catch one.
1 million pesos?
But I'll tell you this: as bad as this place is, you could stock this thing with 1 million fish when nobody catch one.
No idea.
Mark Martin, who won on just about every type of track in NASCAR, was not fond of Martinsville, a short track that has been described as a paperclip consisting of 2 quarter-mile drag strips with a U-turn at each end. In 1992, during practice, he exclaimed over the radio that, quote, "You gotta be wearing panties to drive this track," due to the excessive braking in the corners. And unfortunately for Mark, he won the race that weekend, and his crew rewarded him with a pair of panties.
Nice.
No word on whether or not he actually wore them, though. For all of NASCAR's tracks, you will have an equal amount of lovers and haters mixed in with everyone in between. Most drivers are indifferent about a given track week in and week out. However, there is one more type of track that has no middle ground. You either love it or hate it, no in between. And with the fans too, they either consider it must-watch TV or a national embarrassment and an affront to auto racing itself. It is something completely unique to NASCAR. There's nothing else like it in the world. And it still remains as one of the most spectacular and dangerous forms of racing on the planet: super speedway racing.
Crazy crashes and super speedway.
Imagine a track so massive, with banking so steep that you never have to let off the throttle. A perfect test bed of raw horsepower, and you had the 2 super speedways in NASCAR, Talladega and Daytona. They were so fast that in 1987, NASCAR had to implement restrictor plates to keep the speeds from creeping up over 220 miles an hour due to safety concerns. This little metal plate placed between the carburetor and the intake manifold effectively cut horsepower nearly in half, and slowed cars down to the high 180s, but unintentionally led to a completely new form of racing. Now that all the cars were effectively kneecapped and now topped out at the same speed, the only way to pass was through the properties of slipstream.
No. The only way to pass is to bump them out of the way. We've seen it many times. You get behind them and then you nudge them and dump them. I think that's what they call it, right? Get dumped.
Or as we in NASCAR world call it, drafting. Basically, the car out in front punches a hole in the air, and all the cars behind it can go faster now that they have less air resistance in the way. Now, racing at super speedways was all about positioning and timing your slingshot pass for the perfect moment. That doesn't sound too thrilling when it's just 2 guys out there doing this dance, but in NASCAR, you're not trying to do this one-on-one, but 1 versus 40. The restrictor plate led to massive packs of cars traveling at nearly 200 miles an hour in situations where the last car and the leader could be separated by less than 2 seconds.
Crazy.
Basically, anybody who cranks up their engines at one of these two tracks has a decent shot to win and is never out of contention. That is, unless they get caught up in the big one. With 40 or so cars racing together in such tight formation, all it takes is one bad block, one ill-timed pass, and everyone gets wiped out. One man's mistake is paid by everyone. It's not uncommon to see 20 or 30 cars totaled after one of the big ones, which is...
How many cars? 20 to 30 cars totaled. Bruv. Because there's no way for them to escape it. Once it starts happening in front of you, it's GG's, man. You can just hope for the best. Like you can see right now, it's just smoke. And trying to drive through smoke, at 200 miles an hour, yeah, good luck with that, man.
Why so many drivers hate this style of racing with a burning passion. Your skill behind the wheel is completely erased, and your day could be ended by some no-name guy just trying to be a hero on lap 1. So this type of racing feels cheap and unearned to a lot of race fans and drivers alike. But there was one driver who hated restrictor plate super speedway racing more than anyone else. He detested it and was extremely vocal about it. He said it wasn't real racing and that NASCAR should be ashamed that it even existed. And unfortunately for him, he was the greatest that had ever done it. In the histories of Daytona and Talladega, he amassed more wins at those two tracks than literally any other driver in NASCAR history. Second place doesn't even come close. He was so good at drafting at these tracks that other drivers said he must be able to see the air moving around the cars. Wow. And he wasn't just good at super speedways, he was good everywhere and won the most championships in NASCAR Cup Series history. However, there was one race he just couldn't seem to win. The biggest one on the schedule, the Daytona 500, which as fate would have it was one of those super speedway races to kick off the season. The winningest driver in Daytona's history could not win its most prestigious race no matter what he tried. It seemed like something out of a Greek tragedy. A man with so much talent and success couldn't take the ultimate prize. Oof. He was cursed. And over the course of 20 years, he tried and tried again to claim the crown, but fell short in the most unimaginable ways possible. The man is Dale Earnhardt, and this is the story of Dale versus Daytona.
Wow! What an intro. 5 minutes, 44 seconds, and now we finally get to the video. Guys, I'm so sorry. Hey, it is what it is. But at the same time, I've learned quite a lot from that intro, so I actually appreciate that.
April 1951, the rural town of Kannapolis, North Carolina, welcomes its newest citizen, a bouncing baby boy named Dale, born to Ralph Earnhardt, a local short track racer just trying to eke out a living racing stock cars.
I'm sorry, how does a person born in 1951 have a baby picture? And I don't have a baby picture. I need to have a word with my parents, man. Like, wagwan, where's my baby picture? I think I've seen one or two, but you know what? We're getting too personal now. Let's get back into the video.
On Carolina clay. It was a tough line of work, long hours and crappy pay. Even crappier if you wrecked. But he was making it work for now. Even still, he had no plans on his son also going down this path.
That's a very
tiny rewards. The rewards were great, but the risk to life and limb and your wallet were equally as great, if not more so. But Ralph made the mistake of enlisting Dale to help him out at the track, and the boy got the racing bug in his system immediately. And it certainly didn't help that he was old enough to remember watching his dad hoist the NASCAR Sportsman Division Championship in 1956, the precursor to the O'Reilly series of today. His dad had made it. He lifted himself out of poverty by just being a race car driver. And for Dale, that was all he ever wanted to do. In his teenage years, he started down his racing journey, much to the chagrin of his dad. But his old man kind of came around to it and they even raced each other on the same track at times. Dale wanted nothing more than to show his dad that he had what it took to make it just like his old man. Unfortunately, he'd never get to. In 1973, Ralph Earnhardt died of a heart attack and left Dale with no one to guide him into the future. But for where Dale was headed, not even his father was going to be able to help him through that. In 1975, Dale made his first NASCAR Cup Series start in the World 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway, just down the road from his hometown. The 20-year Cup Series veteran, Ed Negre, would enter a car into the race and tap the young hometown kid to be its wheelman. Dale didn't wreck and brought it home in 22nd. It was enough to invite a few more rides over the years from smaller owners, and Dale was hungry.
See, it goes to show you don't have to win your first race to be great. You can come 22nd place and still be one of the best drivers in the world.
For work and agreed to every start that came across his desk, and his finishing position steadily improved. But his real big break was in 1978. when California real estate mogul Rod Osterland entered a third car at Atlanta and called up Dale to drive it. Dale qualified 10th and finished 4th.
Nice.
That was enough to convince Osterland to go all in on Dale for the 1979 season. He would no longer enter multiple cars per race hoping for a few good finishes, but now he wanted all of his money backing one supercar that could hang with the best of them.
Nice.
And he saw something in Dale that would become obvious to everybody in the coming years. With a new hotshot behind the wheel and legendary crew chief Jake Elder on the pit box, they set off into the history books.
Hell yeah. He's got the seats now, he's got the power, let's go! What you gonna do with it? Boogity, boogity, boogity,
this was not
boogity.
Dale's first start at Daytona. He started there in the 400-mile summer race last year for Will Cronkite and finished 8th. So he's not unfamiliar with the high banks. But this is his first full-time season and his first shot at the Rookie of the Year award and his first race in front of a live televised audience. Because for the first time ever in TV history, CBS is broadcasting a 500-mile race live flag to flag. Dale is making his debut and setting out into the first leg of his 20-year saga with this track on the biggest stage imaginable. With most of the East Coast snowed in with nothing to do but watch this race down in Florida, 6.5 million people watched the first part of Dale vs. Daytona in living color, and it was an absolute heater of a race. The favorite to win it all, Buddy Baker, the winner of the first ever Busch Clash last week, as well as the winner of the qualifying race on Thursday, never leads a lap under green and blows up by the time the first caution comes out. That first caution was caused by the other two obvious favorites, Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison, wrecking each other coming out of turn 2.
Nice.
The top 3 contenders have been knocked out early in the race, and now it's anyone's
that's a big
game.
crash.
Up-and-comer Neil Bonnet mixes it up with IndyCar champ and former Daytona 500 winner AJ Foyt before the Blue Deuce of Dale Earnhardt passes them both for the lead. It's so out of left field, commentators Ken Swire and David Hobbs think that he must be a lap down. But the stat rats confirm that nope, that...
How did they think it was a lap down? Did they just zoned out, like not realizing it was actually sending her? Crazy.
Carolina kid just passed everybody for the top spot. He'll lead 10 laps on the day and finish 8th. But of course that wasn't all that happened in this race. Donnie and Cale somehow repaired their cars and were so much faster than the competition, they retook the lead and pulled away to settle it between themselves. Donnie drove Cale into the mud, Cale slammed into Donnie, and the two of them wrecked out on the last lap.
Oh my
Richard Petty
God.
sneaks by to win, and then Cale, Donnie, and Donnie's brother Bobby have a fist fight right there in the infield with the cameras rolling.
Oh, it must have been different back in the days, man. All that petrol smell, the unrestriction, the energy, crazy, and then fighting on the side. Ooh. It'd be like a hockey match. Nice.
Viewers loved the spectacle, and the ratings were so damn good that CBS greenlit the rights to the Daytona 500 for the next 21 years.
Jeez,
for the entirety of Dale's quest for the Daytona 500 crown, CBS would air every minute of it. Later in 1979, Dale got his first win at Bristol Motor Speedway, solidifying his place in the sport and his ride by giving car owner Rod Osterland his first ever win. In 1980, Dale got his first ever win at Daytona in the Busch Clash, an invitational race for the previous year's pole winners. Dale led another 10 laps in the Great American Race the next week and improved his finishing position with a 4th place result. He's building momentum for sure, but what happens next is arguably an even greater feat. He wins 5 races on the year and becomes the first ever Rookie of the Year award winner to follow it up in his sophomore season with a championship. Now it is apparent that this young gun from Kannapolis isn't just a flash in the pan.
You gotta give it up to him as well. Man got his sponsor going on, man. Don't ever miss an opportunity to promote your sponsors. Okay? Guys, if you want to sponsor this channel as well, please feel free to do so.
He's a real deal generational phenom. In 1981, he gets another top 5 in the 500, but...
Wait, why is it like they get a paper championship something? What is that, like a certificate of winning? Crazy.
Generational phenom. In 1981, he gets another top 5 in the 500, but halfway through the season, Osterland sells the team to another California business mogul, J.D. Stacy, a guy that Dale simply did not jive with.
Oh no.
After a fall-off in performance in just 4 races, Dale goes to Richard Childress Racing to wrap up the season. But he wouldn't stick around for 1982. He gets a ride with the legendary Bud Moore engineering car, the number 15, basically the Ford factory entry at this point. Dale did manage to win 4 races for them across 82 and 83, one of which was the Daytona qualifying race, but he suffered his 2 worst season points finishes to date, 8th and 12th respectively. which, if those are your worst 2 seasons ever after 5 years of doing this full time, that's pretty damn good. But Dale had come to expect greatness, and he was left wanting. At the Daytona 500 those 2 seasons, he finished 36th and 35th with blown engines. Bud liked to run his cars hot, and he paid the price for it. In 1984, Dale goes right back to Richard Childress's number 3 car, a number the man would carry for the rest of his career. He had finally found his home, and after a runner-up finish in the 500 to Cale Yarborough, it's clear that he made the right choice. In the 1985 Daytona 500, he blows another engine, but in 1986 he wins the Clash again and sets up a brilliant Daytona 500 run. He leads 34 laps, and on the final pit stop cycle, his crew give him a perfect stop to put him in second, right behind the leader, Jeff Bodine. For nearly 30 laps, Dale runs him down and puts himself into position to make the slingshot pass around the New Yorker for the dub. For the last 10 laps, Dale is just riding Jeff's back bumper like a cat playing with its food. He's got the momentum, he's got the horsepower and the know-how, then he runs out of gas with just 3 laps to go. Overshoots his pit bump.
He was messing around with the guy for so long that I even forgot to go put fuel in the car.
And then messes up his shift up through the gears and blows the engine sky high. Dale, man, the lights were too bright. You blew it. Everything was going right, and it just all crumbled at the last possible moment. What a shitter of a way for it to all end. He would bounce back and win the championship that year, and as much as this one stung, it's going to get way, way worse. In 1987, 88, and 89, he finishes 5th, 10th, and 3rd respectively, and those are some good results. But he was never really in contention to win those races, having led just 21 laps across all 600 laps of competition. He did win the Clash in 88, but at this point it's just adding insult to injury. He can win everything under the sun at this track multiple times over, except a points-paying race. In 1990, he won his qualifying race again, and would go on to win a total of 10 of these things in a row from here on out. From 1990 to 1999, he was completely untouchable in the twin 125s. That's a feat even more remarkable than a singular Daytona 500 win. It's pretty safe to say that that record will never be broken. But that makes him the most winningest driver at this track. He has won more races at Daytona than any other human being alive, but he can't win the one that matters most.
Jesus
but
Christ.
Surely this year in 1990, after leading...
In Nigeria, they will say, it's the village people that are behind him. That means somebody's cursed him and they don't want him to succeed. Like there's an actual witchcraft on him. Maybe it should have gone home and wash his head. That's what they do. They'll, go to the herbalist and wash their head or something. And then they come back and win. Oh man, nobody told him. He needed some Nigerian friends, honestly.
Leading 155 of 200 laps, 78% of the race, and leading on the final lap, going into the final set of turns, he can put a bow on this and move on, right?
Wrong.
1 lap to go. Does anybody have anything left?
I know it's not gonna win it. And right now, I'm even feeling nervous for him to see what happens. Crazy.
With the man in black.
Oh, Sen's on the inside. Wait, what happened to him? Did he just lose power or something?
In an absolute heartbreaker, the most dominant car of the race by far ran over a piece of debris on the backstretch and cut a tire going into turn 3. There are no words that can convey what Earnhardt must have been feeling at.
No, he had it. Oh no, yeah, the witchcraft people are behind him. Village people are on his ass.
This point. But there is a quote from the sports writer John Boyes that I think gets pretty darn close, and it goes something along the lines of, one of the differences between God and Satan is that Satan signs his work. A beautiful sunset could be God, could be a lot of other things too. But the devil leaves no room for doubt. He wants his name on that shit. He always leaves a calling card. And that's what this was. A supernatural wake-up call. This ain't meant for you, dude. Give it up. If you didn't win this one, then you weren't going to win any of them. Dale might have made a deal with the devil to get this good at super speedway racing, but like a certain young fiddler from Georgia pointed out, you forgot that he's the best that's ever been. In 1991, Dale runs it back, but hits a seagull on the backstretch early in the race, and damages a cooling vent that was made specifically for the oil cooler. And he spends the rest of the race managing that malfunction, but still somehow brings it home in 5th. A seagull? Really? Satan, are you running out of ideas or something over there? In 1992, 9th. In 1993, he leads more than
He's
half
just
the
so
race, but a
lucky.
young up-and-comer named Dale Jarrett, racing for some startup team owned by an NFL coach, snatches the win away. The Dale and Dale Show is called to the wire on CBS by Dale Jarrett's dad, Ned Jarrett. Some people speculate that Ned had a radio line to his son and was watching TV screens and sending his son instructions on where to block. That's a far-fetched theory to be sure, but after all I've seen, I'd sooner come to blame the Prince of Darkness than TV race interference. Earnhardt's 1995 effort sticks out in my mind the most. He wasn't the fastest car for the race, but he made all the right calls. In a wreckfest of a race that saw 10 cautions, including a 2-hour rain delay, Dale patiently bided his time and worked his way to the front. With 15 to go, the final caution came out for a wrecked car, and Earnhardt's team decided to get crafty. They pitted for 4 fresh tires with more than 20 cars still on the lead lap. Absolute lunacy for most guys, but Dale was sure he could get it done. The green flew with just 10 to go, and the man in black immediately started picking them up and laying them down. Before the first lap from green was completed, he was back in the top 10. With 4 to go, he passed Mark Martin for second and had just Sterling Marlin to beat, but came up 1 lap short. Marlin, a journeyman driver who had just captured his first win ever in last year's Daytona 500, now had 2 500s back-to-back, something that to this day only 4 men have ever done. And Dale Earnhardt, who just last year tied Petty's 7 championships, doesn't even have 1 to show for it.
That's crazy.
He's won every other crown jewel. The Bristol Night Race, the Southern 500, the Winston 500, the World 600, the Brickyard 400, the All-Star Race. There are no more dragons left for him to slay. In 1996, he comes up second again to Dale Jarrett, again, and this is just getting pretty old at this point. In 1997, it was what would have been...
At what point do you just take him out? I feel like you should just take him out to get a win. It was right behind him. Go take him out, bruv.
Been the breaking point for any driver. After leading nearly a quarter of the race with just 10 to go, he wrecks out while battling for the lead.
Oh, somebody else
gets
takes
hooked,
him out.
rolls over, and the car is junked. He's physically fine, but his car isn't. For anyone else, it would have been perfectly understandable to just give up, get in the ambulance, and head to the infield care center and give up on this endeavor. He had been through so much, it was clear that this simply wasn't meant to be. Stop fighting fate and just enjoy your 7 championships and gajillion wins. That's enough, right? But Earnhardt spit in the face of the devil, got out of that ambulance, and walked over to his car to see if it would crank. Somehow it did, and he climbed back in and ordered his crew to repair it. Now, he wasn't going to win like this, obviously not, but maybe he could claw back a few positions for points in the year-end standings.
Yeah.
But I doubt he was thinking of that in that moment. This was to prove a point. He's not done yet.
What is the point of the
Dale
tape?
Earnhardt was heavily involved in the Make-A-Wish Foundation charity
That's
and routinely met
hilarious.
with any kid that wanted to see him. Right before the Daytona 500 in 1998, a girl wants to meet up and Dale obliges. But this time the kid has a gift for him, her own personal lucky penny. She explicitly hopes that this will finally be the thing that helps push him over the hump and settle this saga once and for all.
Wow, they
Dale
gave it to the
accepts the
car.
gift, and when he's back in the garage at Daytona,
got
he
nothing to lose
superglues
at
the
this
penny
point.
to the dashboard. The 98 Daytona 500 starts off like so many others for Dale. He wins the qualifier and starts up in the front for the main event. He leads a bunch of laps, more than half in fact. He's leading late in the race, but we've seen this before. What's it going to be this time? Debris, fuel, seagull, struck by lightning? With 2 laps to go, the caution comes out, but not for Dale. 2 cars wreck on the backstretch, and the race is on to the yellow flag. The race to the yellow will lock down the positions of the cars as they pace around for the final lap. Dale makes it back around and takes the yellow flag in first. And his team are cautiously celebrating, but Larry Mack, his crew chief, holds himself back. He's been here before. This car still
could
needs to
change?
maintain pace car speed all the way around, 1 more lap to take the checkered flag. A million things could still go wrong. I remember
Like
where
what?
I was when this
Fire blowing
happened.
up.
A Zaxby's restaurant in Greenville,
burning
South
out.
Carolina, right after church. As I munched on some chicken fingers, 7-year-old me expected something to happen too. It's never over till it's over, right? But Dale came around, out of turn 4, and finally took that checkered flag. In an unprecedented scene, every man of every crew came out onto pit road to high-five the man in black.
So what, he
The
did
Intimidator
win.
had no shortage of enemies, but no one could doubt his resolve and tenacity. He had the animosity of many, but the respect of all. The once young Carolina kid was now an old head who had finally conquered his last enemy. 20 years of trying, 20 years of frustration, all undone with 1 lucky penny and a couple of caution laps. Dale would not win another race for the rest of the season. He didn't need to. He'd win 3 more
It's
races in
finished.
'99, a couple more in 2000, and set off into 2001 with a new objective, making way for his son, Dale Earnhardt Jr., who had just nabbed his first Cup Series win the year prior. Dale Sr. had his own race team to look out for now. The number 1 driven by Steve Park, Jr. driving the 8, who was the Crown Prince, and Michael Waltrip, a journeyman who had never won a points-paying race, now driving the 15. Going into the Daytona 500 in 2001...
Wait, his son did not drive for his team? What? I would think like you'd want to have your child drive for you, no?
Jr. driving the 8, who was the Crown Prince, and the mood was full of optimism. And a new producer was in the mix, as broadcasting rights were now under Fox Sports control. The man who had called Dale to his first Daytona 500 crown, Mike Joy's in the booth, alongside Dale's longtime rival and older brother to his driver Michael, Darrell Waltrip, and his Daytona 500 winning crew chief, Larry McReynolds. The race sets off and it's full of the usual fare, crazy heart-pounding racing, big wrecks and close calls, but as the laps wind down, it's apparent that Dale is doing something that he's never done before. He's playing defense for someone else. Michael Waltrip and Jr. have pulled ahead, and Dale is making sure that his drivers run away with this thing. Maybe it'll be his boy winning it all in front of his dad, something Dale was never able to do with his own father. Or maybe the never was that everybody told him was a bad pick will take the victory. Either way, Dale is determined to let those two sort it out between themselves. Earlier in this video, I called this saga a Greek tragedy. And much like in one of those ancient stories, in the end, the hero gets what he always wanted. But in a cruel twist of fate, it was only ever going to end one way. Dale's final memory was watching his 2 guys drive towards the finish line with nothing but open racetrack in front of them. Not only had he won everything there was to win, he got the last laugh on the way out. The guy that everybody told him was a bust ended up winning. His son won the 500 just 3 years later. Dale was vindicated in the end, and probably went out the only way he'd ever want to. Master of his own destiny, and with the wheel in his hands and no one else's. The track that had taken so much from him had eventually claimed him too. Dale Earnhardt's legacy is one of tenacity, grit, raw stubbornness, and overcoming the odds no matter the cost. His spirit lives on not just in his son and proteges, but the men who raced against him, and the young guns who grew up watching him go to work every Sunday afternoon. Even for those who only know him from race highlights on YouTube, he represented something almost otherworldly, a never-ending desire to win, to achieve victory everlasting. He is a legend, not just in NASCAR, but in the popular culture of the entire Western Hemisphere. He is an inspiration to everyone living today that when your back is against the wall and all seems lost, tell fate to saw it off and go find your own way. He was a Carolina backcountry rube like so many of the rest of us, but when the chips were down, he would just ignore the odds, and they just seemed to disappear. Fate would have had him confined to a small corner of North Carolina, but his true legacy is tied to a 2.5-mile strip of asphalt in the east coast of Florida. And he proved that fate can blink if you stare at it long enough. So go out there and be like Dale, and be like Biff.
This is so crazy that everybody lined up for him. It must be like the best win in his entire life. Like, forget about everything else. Conquering that after 20 years of trying and bad luck happening to him. Nah, that must have been like the greatest feeling. At that point, he should have just retired and be like, you know what, that's it. I've done it all now. It's time to chill and, you know, enjoy myself. But wow. No, that was crazy. Obviously I didn't know anything about the history, so this was good to finally understand what happened. I know there's another video I need to watch. We'll be checking that out at some point. It's a very long video, so I'm just saving it for later, okay? When there's time for it. All right. Thank you for watching this one, guys. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, okay? See you in the next one. Take it easy. Goodbye. Peace.